Alright, so this is the conclusion of our hydraulic ram install. First things first, set up your umbrella. It's literally a lifesaver here in Florida. Alright, so final steps are second replacement kit, which is going to be for the motor trim mount, and it has a little keyway in there, which I want to show you in a second. So it's got the gaskets for the motor as well as the keyway. All important stuff. So this is the second half of the motor we're going to set it up into. As you can see, I got it using the bracket to hold it up at the moment. I'm going to have to change that once I get the motor brought back in, and I'll be using a lift to keep this up. I never did remove my hydraulic motor. As you can see, it works perfectly fine. So that was never something I had to mess with, so I just left it attached to the boat. It's very important when you put this back in to make sure your wires are underneath in the groove where they're supposed to be. Otherwise, when you drop the motor, this will definitely be pinched, so you do not want to do that. So here I've got the ram all ready to go back onto the motor. I've got the new cap, as I showed you in the previous video. The cylinder is currently empty, and so what we're going to do is fill our reservoir here. And if you were looking for that little keyway, this is what it attaches to. It connects that flathead piece to this flathead piece. See this little, I'm trying to hold the cylinder up and do it all at the same time. This little piece right here. So you need a little connector key, and guess what? It's right here in the kit. Your other one might have been stripped out, but you can actually see pretty clearly. Yeah, I'm gonna show you how to install that here in a second. All right, so back to the keyway. This right here connects to the engine. So first things first, this little piece, you see it's a little key holder. I'm going to use the old one. The old one looks fine, and to be frank, I want to keep the new one as a backup. So I'm going to put the old one. All right. So you see now, you actually see the pump turning when you turn this, right? That's the hydraulic pump. All right. Now what we're going to do is fill it up with fluid. All right, so we got to fill up the reservoir here and the cylinder here. That's not going to be enough. So first things first, cylinder, because I still have it open, and I'm going to want to close it here soon. So we're going to put some fluid in there. Alright. Down tight, I put fluid inside the cylinder, and now we're going to go ahead and crank this down with our spanner wrench, get that nice and tight. Then we're going to fill the reservoir up. Alright, so we're going to tighten down the top cap. My spanner is a little too big, to be honest, but it's working. Didn't want to buy another one. Alright, so next steps, your kit. I have new Allen bolts for these 4 holes to mount into the motor. I placed a new O-ring right inside there. Now, I just want you to be careful of something. If you left your motor on like I did, remember which side the cord is. Remember, this on this mount, it's going to be on the left-hand side, so you want to make sure the cord is on the left-hand side, and that will pull the cord against the wall. These can go on pretty much any direction onto the face here, and it'll fit anyway. You're going to have to make sure that the slot key aligns with this one direction when you mount it in, or it won't work. But make sure where the cord's located. You want the cord on this corner. That way it'll pull the cord inside the bracket here and make sure that it stays out of the way of the engine coming up and down. So I'm going to go ahead now, fill the reservoir. Now mind you, if you don't get the amount of oil correct, don't worry too much, because you do have a key right here on the side in which you can open up and fill the reservoir if you did not put enough in. So I'm going to fill this up. Should be good right there. Alright, so I filled the reservoir up. I just wanted to show you one specific thing. These little plastic keys only go on one way, and on mine it's little side down. It'll wobble like crazy if you put it in the other way. So I love when things are idiot proof. I don't like that, so it only fits one way. Got the O-ring right here in the top, and then we're gonna put the motor on here in a second. All right, so we got the motor mounted back on. Just keep in mind with the angle of the boat, when I filled up the reservoir, it wasn't quite enough. Remember, you can fill right through this screw right here. Just pop that off, and I did. And when you buy these trim oils, they got a nice pop it in there, and I topped it off. I could hear when I ran it up and down, it was definitely having some air in it. So now it's filled back up. Also keep in mind that there's usually some kind of ground wire or grounding wire. Mine's on the other end here. Remember, that's got to be hooked back into the system here, not to be forgotten, especially if you keep it in the water. You're gonna have all kinds of corrosion. So what I'm now gonna do is I'm gonna put the pins back in. I only got a screwdriver right now holding this top part up. Makes it a little bit easier to mount the bottom. You don't have the weight of the whole ram sitting there. So I'm gonna do the bottom pin first with a screwdriver holding the top, and then I'm gonna swap that out and do it. So let's get that going. Here. Remember, I like to lube these pins up. Makes my life a little bit easier. So I'm gonna have to, and that's about where we need to be. Put the safety back down. Put the retaining rings back on after the fact. All right, now we're gonna get the top pin. All right. All right, it works.